I can't keep up. I simply cannot keep up with this craziness. What are we going to do today? Well, I'm wearing camo. So we're going hunting. We're going to hunt for the truth. We're going to put aside propaganda. We're going to put aside whether we are left or right, black or white, American or not American. And we're going to talk about what's really happening because we have fraud in Turning Point USA. We have the Mormons rising up everywhere that you look, and that should terrify you. And if you don't know why, I'm going to tell you. We have so much to cover because it looks like Lindsey Graham is focused on Cuba, Iran, and Greenland next. Wow, America's just growing. I mean, I'm just curious, friends and family, how we can't seem to get an increase in Social Security benefits for our elderly or remove the amount of money they have to pay for medical insurance out of their own pockets. But we have plenty of money to rebuild Gaza. We have plenty of money to rebuild all the oil industry and machinery that we need in Venezuela to suck up that black gold. Now, I don't know about you, but the way I feel about it is if you want to do business in Venezuela and you're a business, pay for it yourself. Because I just don't see you and I watching gas prices go down. I mean, they've skinned us alive for the past 10, 20 years since 9/11. For the ones of you not old enough to remember, when my oldest son was born, gas cost 96 cents a gallon, less than a dollar. And I remember about people complaining about gas prices then. Look at them now. Oh, they're lower than they were 3 or 4 years ago, but they're still way too high. For the average American, your income is not going up fast enough to offset the cost of everything around you continually increasing. So, whether or not you're a Trumpster or you're a liberal lunatic, I personally don't care. I just care about the truth. As a mother who has an oldest child sitting 100 miles outside of Iran, I'm a little nervous when I watch my president decide, well, maybe we need to go over and attack Iran if they go after their people. Because, I mean, you've got to know your history. Iran wasn't always like it is right now. It is the way it is because the CIA perpetuated a color revolution in Iran. Golly, you guys, what would that be? 60 years ago? Before that, Iran was a different world. It just seems like every time America pops in and we're going to do a complete change, we end up having to pay for everything out of our tax dollars. The rich get richer, and we leave these countries in shambles. Now, I know some people don't want to hear that, but hey, like I said, I'm wearing camo for a reason today, friends and family. Let me let you hear what Obama said.
You just have to flood a country's public square with enough raw sewage. You just have to raise enough questions, spread enough dirt, plant enough conspiracy theorizing that citizens no longer know what to believe. Once they lose trust in their leaders, in mainstream media, in political institutions, in each other, in the possibility of truth, the game's won. You just have.
So I want to make this very clear. You and I are on the same team. You can decide to love Trump. You can decide to love Erica Kirk. You can do anything you choose. You and I are not enemies. I sit in a very different spot than 95% of you. I have two sons, both of which are in the military. Well, if you feel this way about the military, why are your kids in the military? Because they're adults. I'm sorry. I'm not one of those mothers that tells their children what they can't do. I have a child married in Auckland, New Zealand. I have a daughter living her best life in Washington State. I have a son fixing to get on a plane tomorrow, heading across the Pacific Ocean, and a son that I am desperately praying makes it back into this country sometime in February from the Middle East. My children are their own people. I raised strong, godly, independent children, and they are living their best life. But as a mother, when I look at these neocons and these war whores, because that's what they are, getting so excited about invading another country, my skin crawls. Because if you are living in an echo chamber, you may not have heard this. There's information coming out tying both Democrats and Republican senators and congressmen to kickbacks from the Ukrainian war. Our federal government is not our friend, and I don't care who sits in the White House. That truth has never changed. Someday, all of you are going to learn that oil is not made from dinosaur fossils. I will never forget when my redneck Mississippi born and raised father looked at me when I came in from, earth science in high school and was like, oil's a natural resource, daddy. And my father went, what? He's like, Samantha, oil is like blood. Oil is the earth's blood. It's a natural resource in the sense that it can just constantly replenish itself. We can never use all the oil because it is a gift from God. But the elite have done something that is like mind blowing. They have taught people that it is a fossil fuel and that we're going to run out of it, right? But when you look at it in a picture like this,
Sabah.
and you realize it just bubbles up out of the earth like a gift from God, you realize that we've been lied to. I don't want Venezuela. I don't want Greenland. I do not want Cuba. I don't want Canada. I don't want Mexico. I just want health care. Never more in my life is that how I currently feel. When your 46-year-old husband develops a brain tumor, and then you realize that he needs full facial reconstruction to open up his airways because at the age of 3 was kicked in the face by a horse. Then you realize that he has got tumors, not benign, praise Jesus, in places that they shouldn't be, in areas that are causing him extreme pain. And then you realize that Medicaid wants to fight with you over $360. And then you realize to just get insurance for your husband, it's going to cost him $250 a week. Just for an insurance card to come in the mail. And then you realize that all the hard work that you've done to be fiscally responsible, to not take out any loans, to have no credit card debt, to wear the same clothes every day over and over again because you don't want to spend $150 on a pair of flippin' blue jeans, that you grow a majority of your own food, you butcher out your own small livestock, and you realize that everything you have could be lost to hospitals putting liens against the property you worked so hard to pay off solely because you can't afford $1,000 a month for the insurance card and then all the copayments. But my God is bigger, right? And at least we have the next 5 months fully paid for. Only problem is to get medical care, he now has to drive 2 hours one way. It's the only hospital he can go to. I'm not the only American facing this. And I praise God. I give glory to the King of Kings and the Lord of Lords that he has opened my eyes, that he has humbled my spirit, that he is causing me to walk hand in hand with him every day of my life. I praise you, God. This is what Americans are dealing with. So when you hear people like me push back and say, I just don't see the point, how about we slow our roll down from dominoing the entire earth and give Social Security recipients a raise? Just get them up to cost of living, bruh. You know, enough that they can pay their electricity and still buy food. Can we just all agree on that? Because you and I aren't enemies, but none of us are living the high life. Oh, wait, some of us are, right? The ones on YouTube telling you that you should be cheering for the toppling of Venezuela, those people are millionaires. Any of you millionaires? Probably not. They've got no use for us. By the way, do not forget to pick up your copy, Growing Under a Poison Sky. You can get it everywhere, guys. Walmart online, Barnes and Nobles. That's a great way to support us. It also supports Leslie, who has written a monthly newsletter for my channel for 2 years now, because YouTube is consistently removing my money from me. So, then you hear people from other countries. I'm so sick of people telling me to shut up about Trump and the US because I'm Danish. He threatened Denmark, Greenland, Canada, and so many others. He has humiliated Ukraine, supported Putin, is a menace to liberals in the US. He's breaking national and international law, and he doesn't care if he wrecks the world's economy and safety. He's a danger to the world. This person goes same from me in Norway. People across the pond are scared of what the US is going to do next. Now, this is what I need all of you to understand. Venezuela owes a lot of money, like the US, to people like Russia, China, Saudi Arabia for infrastructure. So, this is how it works. Venezuela wants to build a port for ships. They don't have any money, they don't have any skill, no laborers. In comes China. We'll build the port, we'll run the port. You guys get so much, we take so much, but you owe us for building this. This is our port. So when the United States stepped in and kidnapped Maduro, regardless of how you feel about it, just hear me out. China is now looking at the possibility of suing the United States in international court for the money that Maduro signed his name to. Maduro said, here's my signature. Venezuela is going to pay you back so many millions or billions of dollars for this infrastructure to all these different countries. So just hear me. So, yeah, maybe America got natural resources. Maybe America got silver and gold. Maybe America got the crude oil. But do we also get Venezuela's debt? Because if China sues us and they win, yeah, I think you might see where I'm going with that. People don't want to talk about the nuances. I am very nuanced. I voted for Trump. So I feel like I can sit here and judge him fairly because that's my right as an American citizen. It's called freedom of speech. Too many people get in an echo chamber. You don't want to hear anything that you don't want to hear. You want me to repeat the same talking points you're seeing on every other MAGA conservative channel. Maduro was killing Christians. Maduro was moving drugs. Well, guys, Trump has already come out and said that the fraudulent 2020 election steal came from the voting machines that came out of Venezuela. Who created that? The CIA. Trump has already admitted it. So we know the biggest problem in the world is the CIA. They're behind everything. Every Muslim Brotherhood group is American dollars, American guns, and American training. So rather than topple foreign nations, how about we just sit at home and get rid of the CIA? And then we can come back to the drawing board. Now, good thing is Tim Walz, Tampon Tim, is not going to run for governor of Minnesota. He pulled out. That is great news for Minnesota. Now, let's talk about this. The information I have found on Erica Kirk is definitely going to ruffle some feathers. And the funny thing is, most of it is not even my own information. I just tend to see where it's headed and why they see what's going on, how it aligns with the Jesuit mandate as they proclaimed. Okay. This plot, greenlit 2018 Denver Synoid briefings, safeguards the machine. Kirk's martyrdom amplifies controlled opposition, while Erica's CEO Ascension unanimous board ratification September 18th funnels $150 million annually into slush to evangelical fronts masking trafficking humans. This is basically the undertone of everything that was shared with me in great detail. You guys, they're coming out with some stuff about Erica Kirk. Listen to this. This is crazy.
Templars. So the Templars used this chessboard. They created banking, so banking and all that. Bernard.
Oh, say that again. Say that again. They from the Cistercians to the Templars, and the Templars created banking. No, I thought the Jews created banking. No. The Jews were given banking so that they could be the patsies. It was the Templars.
So they could be the scapegoats, which is what they've always been.
Templars. So the Templars used this chessboard. They created banking, so banking and all that. Bernard.
Oh, say that again. Say that again. They from the Cistercians to the Templars, and the Templars created banking. No, I thought the Jews created banking. No. The Jews were given banking so that they could be the patsies. It was the Templars that created banking. This is commonly, if there is an honest historian, they will admit to you that it is the Templars through pilgrimages of the Catholic Church safeguarding the goods, safeguarding the wealth of Roman Catholic pilgrimages that have nothing to do with being Christian. The Templars created usury. Period. That's the internet. Who rules from behind? Oh, Rothschild, Red Shield. Who carried the Red Shield into battle on behalf of the Romans? Right? They are the guardians of the Vatican treasury. Says the Encyclopedia Judaica. Says an excellent source. And wait. Go big picture. What is he wearing? He is wearing a Maltese cross. This is an award for a Knight of the Catholic Church. Okay? The Knights of Malta. This is a Knight of the Catholic Church. He serves Rome, and Rome needed Jews to be their bankers, or you have the starburst, or you have a Maltese cross. The Rome needed Jewish bankers in order to oh, brilliant. Go back. How did you know that?
Well,
you're zooming in on his watch with him. Oh, I need that.
Yeah. Well,
a Knight of the Catholic Church. Hey, Alice, if you find the picture of Epstein, Jeffrey, and Ghislaine bowing before Pope St. John Paul II that he kept in his Manhattan apartment that got cleaned out when all the lights went out. He was very proud of that picture of kneeling before the Pope with Ghislaine.
Yes.
Okay. A knight of the Catholic Church. He is the household name because it's Jewish. That is the insignia of the Nazi military that they carried over into this day. A Maltese cross.
Now, let's go back. All right. Because this is important. This is what you've got to understand. They're all connected. Erica Kirk, through her grandfather, Carl Kenneth Franze. All right. She's an Eastern Star. She's a Jesuit plant, the same as these guys. She's also kin to the Rothschilds, right? Now, Maduro had like 7 wardrobe changes from, Venezuela to America. Oh, this one was hilarious. You guys will be so look, you want proof for your friends and family that it's not just, jet trails in the sky, right? No, look, he literally exploded his entire load before he made it into the sky. He just released it on the tarmac by accident. Can you imagine the people running not to breathe that, but they don't mind spraying it on you? So, Turning Point USA a board member that put Erica Franze Kirk into position of Turning Point USA, co-authored a PSYOP manual called The Mind War. This is going to blow you out the water.
Of large,
You want to know why Erica
the Charlie Kirk TP
can control all the Christians? She was trained in it. Watch.
USA. The weirdest part about the whole thing, Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino co-wrote a book on psychological warfare while he was stationed at the Presidio in San Francisco. And he was a Satanist. He was a practicing Satanist, never denied it. He wrote this book, Mind War. And this became the manual for how to change the minds of large groups of people. Well, the guy he wrote the book with is named Gregory S. Cease. He sits on the board at TPUSA. The guy that co-wrote the book on psychological warfare with Lieutenant Colonel Michael Aquino, a noted Satanist. And then, you kind of think about what is TPUSA doing? And the answer is trying to change the minds of large groups of people, right? The Charlie Kirk, TPUSA.
When you finally realize, it's just like, wow. All right. So I'm just curious. We're hearing about all the Minnesotan fraud, but what about the Mississippi? There's a $77 million safety net scandal going on right now in Mississippi. 77 million. Nobody's talking about it. And like I told you, Tim Walz has dropped out of the 2026 Minnesota race. And then this is what I've been trying to explain. Now, you guys know how I feel about the Mormons. And yes, Glenn Beck is a Mormon. However, he is not wrong about this information. And that is why I tell you guys, you cannot sit inside of an echo chamber. You have to be nuanced about what you believe and be able to look at both sides. Because if somebody tells me that we invaded Venezuela over drugs, then my question is, then why did Trump pardon one of the biggest drug dealers ever charged within the United States? Do you see what I'm saying? If you can't answer both questions and you really don't know what you believe, you've been programmed to believe something. That's very important. It's called nuance.
National Endowment for Democracy. Why? Well, let's see if.
And do you remember the National Endowment for Democracy? I showed you that video yesterday of that amazing woman explaining to you why America went into Venezuela, and you heard that name. It's important.
2000. And there was the Serbia bulldozer revolution. I don't really even remember this, but I'm starting with this event because it provides a very successful template for color revolution. And this is the template that is followed over and over and over again. And you will actually see the characteristics of it happening here at home by the time we get there.
Now, I'm not sure if they're going to let me play this or if they're going to want to actually come in and hit me because he likes to copyright his stuff. So I can tell you this, that Georgia Rose's revolution, it's a rose revolution. That's what happened in Georgia. Ukraine was the orange revolution. The last time America, the CIA went in and messed with Iran, that was the purple revolution. All of this has to do with the CIA. So again, all I'm going to say is this, friends and family of the internet. We need to see Trump remove the CIA, period. He already showed you that one. Okay, I tried. I really tried. I did. But having served in the military, I can't let this go. When sitting members of Congress essentially call for a military coup, that is military sedation, which is punishable by death. This is why Samantha will not listen to people like Candace Owens, because they sat behind this microphone and asked our military to go against our president. This is where the nuance comes in. If my sons actually decide, hey, I'm going to push back against orders, I'm going to do whatever I want, they could be put to death. So that is where we have to be nuanced. Unmasking the color revolution in the United States and around the world, stolen elections, and the role of the CIA, USAID, and the NED. This is a blueprint for regime change, and it bears a disturbing reality. The mechanisms of color revolutions traditionally deployed abroad are now being turned inward. This all goes back to the Smith-Mundt Act that Obama overturned. I've been talking about this for months. What upsets me, and I went to bed last night, I really had to pray about this. I woke up this morning to a really lovely message from Kelly, who is trying to help me set up Patreon. She's also one of my moderators on the channel. And she was just loving on me, verbally loving on me, because she too has had children in the military that were involved in these color revolutions. And she could feel the nuance in what I'm trying to say to people. What's shocking to me is that people know I'm telling the truth. You have watched me lay this information out bit by bit as the Lord has shown it to me for over a year since Maui. But because you're programmed to believe anyone speaking out against Trump has, that Trump syndrome, right? Derangement syndrome, Trump derangement syndrome. Or somehow I'm trying to rip the conservative party apart or destroy the Republican Party. I can't do that. Your elected officials have already done it for me. So it just goes on. It tells you how this network, funded by American taxpayers, is actively working to undermine the very democratic processes it's supposed to protect. The implications are profound. If we allow color revolution tactics to succeed, we risk transforming our constitutional republic into a managed state where elections become mere facades. But I'm going to tell you now, they already are. They already are. And do you know what technocracy, what the end game for this elite group of technocrats, all raised in South Africa, $2 million fathers who participated in slavery and apartheid? I'm talking Sam Atkins, Peter Thiel, Elon Musk. That's who I'm talking about. There's like 5 other. They are all billionaires now. They are involved in Palantir, PayPal, Facebook, Amazon, There's so much there. It's mind blowing. I believe that every one of those young men have had something done to them when the Germans went to South Africa, like they went to Venezuela. Wake up, America. It's all connected, friends. Every bit of it. We are at a turning point right now. We are. And we're seeing fraud and corruption everywhere from our leaders, and that is going unpunished. Because, yes, Tim Walz stepped down for running for governor. Nothing's going to happen to him because that's the deal he cut with the Trump administration. I guarantee it. Oh, they're going to hem and they're going to haul and they're going to put him in front of Congress and Senate and they're going to dig and they're going to spend all that time until it's buried underneath another story. But nothing's going to happen to Tim Walz. No jail time, no nothing, because he's just another puppet. Now, this is a little interesting. Candace Owens connects Charlie Kirk's assassination to $1 billion DuPont deal. It's really looking like Turning Point is a money laundering operation for global elite, with Turning Point insiders getting their cut. So this is Steve Bannon. You know, Steve Bannon.
This is a holy war. This is a crusade. This is a holy war against the deep state. Donald Trump is our instrument for retribution.
And there is where we should all be shocked that we allowed ourselves to be manipulated with this type of wording. This is occult wording. This is New Age Kabbalist wording. Donald Trump is not an instrument. He's a human. Jesus is the instrument that breaks sin. Jesus says, I am the way, I am the light. My yoke is easy and my burden is light.
I don't want to hear Glenn Youngkin in a vest. I don't want to hear Kemp with his George acts. I don't want to hear it. Donald Trump is our instrument for righteous indignation.
And every one of these people are getting arrested and things are coming out about them. Why does Turning Point USA use an auditor that missed $59 million in fraud in China, lost a $50 million negligence verdict, missed 10 years of charity theft? That was with the Catholic charities. Got fined $580,000 by PCAOB. Tyler Boyer's defense. This is fake news. TPUSA and all Turning Point organizations have an annual audit every year. I'm just asking questions. Turning Point is an illegitimate of a company as these Somalia daycares. Apparently, one spends donors' money fraudulently, the other spends tax dollars fraudulently. A Turning Point USA staffer has been accused of a newly filed lawsuit of kidnapping a child. I brought you that a few weeks ago, but this is where we're going to get really deep. A top leader of the national conservative group Turning Point Action, which has amplified false claims of election fraud by former President Donald Trump and others, resigned Thursday after being accused of forging voter signatures on official paperwork. This was in 2024. So one of Turning Point's leaders, right, there was election fraud. More corruption. Warning to Tim Pool, be careful staking your reputation on Turning Point's finances.
That is not going to happen. In Tim Pool's rant against me, he's basically giving me advice. He's telling me to shut my mouth. I can tell you, Tim Pool, that is not going to happen. But now let me give you some advice, Tim Pool. If I were you, I would be very careful about staking your reputation on claiming that Turning Point is this wonderful company with no financial problems.
And it's deeply in bed with the Mormon church. So keep that, because we're going to get into the Mormon church here in a few minutes.
I know that you are off somewhere in West Virginia. I'm here On the ground in Phoenix, Arizona, where Turning Point's main offices are, I am talking to people and I am hearing the stories about what is really going on behind the scenes in the financial records at Turning Point. And I will say, there is a lot more that I did not include in my last 2 videos. There are people working on stories about corruption at Turning Point and how they are using their shell companies to inappropriately move money around for politicians. People have not published these stories because they were afraid of Charlie Kirk. Charlie Kirk has been dead for 3 months. These stories are going to start to come out. So before you base your reputation on singing the praises of Turning Point, I would think twice if I were you.
Let me read you something out of the book of Matthew, chapter 12, starting in verse 29. Now, this is a King James version. Or else how can one enter into a strong man's house and spoil his goods, except he first bind the strong man, and then he will spoil his house. He that is not with me is against me, and he that gathereth not with me scattereth abroad. Wherefore I say unto you, all manner of sin and blasphemy shall be forgiven unto men, but the blasphemy against the Holy Spirit shall not be forgiven unto men. And whosoever speaketh a word against the Son of Man, it shall be forgiven him. But whosoever speaketh against the Holy Spirit, it shall not be forgiven him, neither in this world, neither in the world to come. Either make the tree good, and his fruit good, or else make the tree corrupt, and his fruit corrupt. For the tree is known by his fruit. O generation of vipers, oh, how can you, being evil, speak good things? For out of the abundance of the heart, the mouth speaketh. A good man out of the good treasure of the heart bringeth forth good things, and an evil man out of the evil treasure bringeth forth evil things. But I say unto you, that every idle word that man shall speak, they shall give an account thereof in the day of judgment. For by thy words thou shalt be judged. Shalt be justified. And by thy words thou shalt be condemned. This is why I tell you, I never intentionally lie to you, ever. Do I get things wrong? Sam's human. Obviously, I'm looking at it through the lens of a mother whose child is stuck in the Middle East. But friends and family of the internet, the only person I owe allegiance to is Jesus Christ of Nazareth. And when I look around me and there is fraud everywhere, and people are hurting, good people, you are some of the most generous people I've ever seen in my life. There's this lady, Miss Patty. She lives in Florida. I hope to meet her one day. Beautiful soul. Helps me all the time. Mad at me right now about my opinions on Trump. But we love each other. We're Christians and we'll work through it. And there are several of you in that same position. All I care about is that your children and mine have an opportunity to have this amazing country like you and I did.
This is a case of don't shoot the messenger. I'm just giving you a heads up about what is coming. Tim Pool's big argument is that we have to support Turning Point because it is splitting the Republican Party.
How she is telling people to pull their funding from Turning Point. Yeah. And she's destroying the coalition. Democrats are going to win in the midterms because of what she is doing.
Who cares?
And she said, I actually would prefer it not if the Democrats win the midterms and then start committees and then start arresting media personalities and doing what they did impeaching Trump.
We knew that when we elected the guy. We knew that was coming. It's either coming now or it's coming in 2 years or it's coming in 4 years. I mean, what's your point?
It doesn't have to come.
Just not now?
No, it doesn't have to come if we stop these self-inflicted wounds.
Oh, yeah, sure. No,
these are self-inflicted
You're absolutely
wounds.
right. There'll never be another Democrat president, so that's never going to happen.
I'm not saying that, Milo. I'm not saying that.
That was baked in when
we don't have to forego the entirety of Congress to the Democrats only so that they can spend the next 2 years
Right.
after the
because,
midterms
because
doing
they're, because they're
impeachment
so
proceedings.
effective.
This is an outrageous statement for anyone who's been paying attention. Turning Point themselves has been viciously attacking other Republicans. Just last month, a Republican city council member, Julie Spilsbury, was recalled in an effort led by Turning Point. She was kicked out of office in the middle of her term. Now, I don't know that much about her, but she looks like a sweet, nice person. Honestly, she looks like someone I would be friends with. She looks like a decent human being. This is a city council person. Turning Point went to her and said, if you do not vote the way Turning Point tells you to vote, we're going to kick you out. Spilsbury is not a rhino. We're not talking about someone like Liz Cheney. This is a mainstream Republican. Turning Point destroyed her life. Now, this is not illegal. It's just dirty politics, so I get it. But why is Tim Pool supporting this? For Tim Pool to argue on his show that we all need to just shut up and support Turning Point for Republican unity, that is the height of hypocrisy.
Do not forget Tim Pool and all his little media friends, Benny Johnson included, all of them got kickbacks from China. I'm sorry, Russia.
How can you say that, Tim Pool, when last month they went after and destroyed a fellow Republican? Why are they not trying to recall, I don't know, the Democrats? Why not go after the Democrats? That is not what they're doing. They're using their donations to go after Republicans.
Because they have to get the Christians corralled. It's the Antichrist system. They have to. Now we're going to talk a little bit about Lindsey Graham. So Lindsey Graham, you know, the war whore hanging out with President Trump right now, he legitimately, right? He accepted money from George Soros. Lindsey Graham, open secrets. Lindsey Graham, let me go back. Soros Fund Management. He's a traitor. Iran is erupting. Inflation 40%. The currency has collapsed. Protesters are chanting death to the dictator and calling out the regime for funding terror while their people starve. This could be the biggest uprising since 1979. It matters because America did this to Iran.
Than pensioners. And so over the past few days, massive protests have erupted across Iran. And what started as an economic revolt is turning into a political revolution. It began in late December when the Iranian rial completely collapsed. We're talking about 1.4 million rials to just $1 US. Inflation is over 40%. Food prices are up more than 70%. Shoekeepers went on strike, then students joined in, then pensioners, and now over 17 provinces are seeing unrest. But here's the biggest part. They're not just protesting prices anymore. They're chanting death to the dictator. This is about the regime. I mean, it's nationwide. Security forces have already killed at least 6 people, dozens more have been injured or arrested, and buildings are burning. Trump recently sent out a message saying, if Iran violently kills peaceful protesters or locked and loaded, we will rescue them. Trump.
Sure, we will. We're going to go into Iran and do what, folks? My son is over there. No offense, but defend your own country. Why? America, and this is the truth. I could be an isolationist, right? That is somebody that believes America needs America's own business, build everything America needs right here. I get that. That's probably never coming back because all of a sudden we felt like we needed to make a deal with this country and help that country and trade oil in our dollar. I get all that. I know how it works. How many countries are we going to get involved in? Because if you go back up, how many of you remember the Hong Kong protest in 2019 and 2020 when the UK gave Hong Kong back to China? You remember all of that, right? Well, it actually happened years before. But anyway, as China moved in on Hong Kong, There were students fighting against the Chinese CCP, screaming and crying for Trump to save them. He did nothing. You've never seen those people again. And now Hong Kong is basically just China. Social credit scores, total communist country. No idea what happened to all those young people screaming and crying for help. But I do believe it might have been one of the reasons the sea was released was to get to, kill two birds, one stone kind of thing. But now Iran is protesting and Trump's like, we're locked and loaded. Well, why? Why is it our business that they're protesting? Why is our business what goes on over there? Well, maybe because of this. Maybe because of people like Lindsey Graham. Watch this.
Run great again. So I pray and hope that 2026 will be the year that we make Iran great again.
Are you flipping kidding me?
So I pray and hope.
Really? We can't even make America great yet. They're all in on screwing Americans over. Lindsey Graham spending $400,000 on lodging in Ukraine. This is fraud.
$100,000. This Lindsey Graham news story is going viral today, but it's much worse than we thought. Hang with me for a moment. So what everyone's talking about is that he spent over $400,000 for hotel lodging during his trip to Ukraine this past weekend. But this is where it gets even more interesting. Nobody seems to be talking about who received the $400,000. So let's take a closer look at the International Business Center and find out how much more money they've received of our U.S. tax dollars over the years. So one of the first things I'll do here is tap the little drop-down menu that says trailing 12 months and change that to all fiscal years. Now, if we scroll over to the right-hand side of the page, we can see a little bit more about who this International Business Center TOV is. We can see their recipient identifier, their address,
minority-owned business,
which of course coincides with this being a foreign-owned business. Now, I tried to find out more information about this organization, but it seems to be non-existent anywhere else on the internet. I don't know who owns it or whether or not any congressional members have any ties to it. If anyone else has information about the International Business Center in Ukraine, drop it in the comments. Let's get back to our search. So now, using the recipient identifier from the previous page, you can see how many of your hard-earned tax dollars have been set aside for spending at this hotel in Ukraine. In total, we've obligated over $36 million to this hotel, and of that amount, we've already sent over $16 million since we first started sending money to this hotel back in fiscal year 22.
Really? Any of you guys ever spent $400,000 in a weekend on a hotel? No, I didn't think so. And remember this, when South Carolina almost booed Lindsey Graham off the stage? Yeah. Don't be fooled, folks. And don't forget this. Imagine siding with the Rothschilds and Lindsey Graham and thinking, yeah, we're the good guys. Well done, Donald J. Trump. Venezuela Libre. Nat Rothschild. Now look at what old Lindsey Graham had to say. This was January 3rd, as we celebrate this amazing achievement by our military commanded by POTUS. We must remember the consequences, what has happened. An evil narco-terrorist dictator has fallen, creating a path for freedom for the wonderful, highly intelligent, hardworking people of Venezuela. It is in America's interest to bring justice to Maduro, an illegitimate narco-terrorist dictator with American blood on his hands. It is equally in our interest to help the Venezuelan people create a new future. Excuse me. So let me put that in layman's terms. Shut up, any of you that are arguing with me, Lindsey Graham, because we're going to pay for it with your tax dollars. Watch him right here. He's disgusting.
You see it all the time. Howard, you've seen it. That Cuba is ready to fall. You know?
Yes. Now that
Cuba looks like it's ready to fall.
Watch him.
That Cuba is ready to fall. You know? Yes. Cuba looks like it's ready to fall. I don't.
Yes. Come on, you guys. None of y'all, you cannot. No, I don't believe it. Y'all are smarter than that. That's why you're still here. Lindsey Graham, Nos Trump dumbass. If we nominate Trump, we will get destroyed and we deserve it. This was 2016. Lindsey Graham. Let me repeat. This is Lindsey Graham's tweet from May 3rd, 2016. If we nominate Trump, we will get destroyed and we will deserve it. Lindsey Graham stands next to Howard Lutnick, Jeffrey Epstein's neighbor, and calls for a complete overhaul of Cuba. Graham says Cuba should be rebuilt under a new culture with American business interests driving the economy. Graham is prepared to take as many lives as possible to make this a reality.
These countries could have done it. And as to this commander-in-chief, he did something people talked about doing. You just wait for Cuba. Cuba is a communist dictatorship.
So is China.
Priests and nuns. They preyed on their.
They killed priests and nuns, and they preyed on their people. Do y'all know how many young American men and women have been killed in foreign wars over money, oil? Really? Because of people like him. These are the people that are surrounding Trump. You want to know why he's literally saying he's going to take the world over? Because of these people. Now, this is where it gets really interesting because you have to wonder about the connection. Is it Huachuca or what? How could you? I can't even say that. It is another U.S. military base that's in Arizona. People are tying this to the Turning Point USA assassination, to child trafficking and abuse allegations right here. Read it for yourself, folks. It's in front of your face. Doms underneath this fort. And it was also an MK Ultra training facility. Let's see if I can pull her thing up.
So 1970-ish, my dad had a kid with a girl who went to a home for unwed mothers in Michigan. It was around Detroit. My dad was from Royal Oak. He had to go before a judge and decide whether or not he wanted to go to jail or go in the Army. He chose the Army, so he went to the U.S. Army when he was about 17. And they sent him to Alaska and a couple other different places, but ultimately he ended up at Fort Huachuca. And the story went that they were handing out bowls of acid and making him watch very violent things to try to desensitize him because he said he didn't want to go to war. And I think Vietnam was still happening, or they were just sending troops home or something like that. I don't really know, but he went AWOL because obviously he didn't want to do that, and they were showing him horrible images. And when he went AWOL, he ended up ultimately in a sane asylum. And my Nana called the then governor, senator of Michigan, I think at the time. And I guess within 5 minutes he came back when knowing where he was stationed and what happened to him, and said that my dad would get 100% pension from the U.S. Army. And he did. So I haven't really done any digging, but that's the story.
It's horrible. It's so horrible. Miss Arizona beauty queens get VIP pass to Fort Huachuca Intel headquarters, confidence or cover. Remember, Erica Kirk, Charlie's widow, was Miss Arizona 2012, and this is them. I told y'all there's a reason I did that video, Pageants to Politics. It's all a pipeline. And then look at this. The Fort Huachuca does have sharp reporting channels, publicly listed investigations. But everything that happens with the soldier is not necessarily going to be in the public. You guys have to remember that, because of court martials, it's a different, the military has its own legal. All right. But read these, read them. For Army women, the top 5 locations in terms of risk of sexual assault include Fort Huachuca, Arizona. Come on now, guys. And do you ever this weird guy that keeps getting angry and holding up his rosary everywhere, screaming into the microphone about we're going to take it all back? Yeah, he spent time. And look what Tyler Boyer, right? Look what he said. Jack, stop going to this base. It's all human trafficking. Here's the dumbs underneath. This is like near Fort Bliss. This is the Fort Huachuca region. Look at this. It's all underneath the U.S. This is how they move. Now, we all know what this one is. That's that big one where they got all the businesses underground. My friend Kent, he's a truck driver. He sends me pictures, you guys. These things are real. So this is Denmark, Prime Minister. I have to say this very directly to the United States. It makes absolutely no sense to talk about the need for the United States to take over Greenland. That's their prime minister.
And own that has no place. It was something I listened to a lot. Threats, pressure, and condescending remarks, even from our closest allies for a generation, about wanting to take over another country and another people as if it was something you could buy and own that has no place anywhere. We shoulder our responsibility in the world, and it is not us who will seek out conflict. But let there be no doubt, no matter what happens, we will stand firm on what is right and what is wrong. Listen to a lot. Threats.
How much you want to bet she doesn't make it a few months and something's going to happen to her? Because President Trump legitimately said it. Listen.
Not we need Greenland for national security. Not for minerals. We have so many sites for minerals and oil and everything. We have more oil than any other country in the world. We need Greenland for national security. And if you take a look at Greenland, you look up and down the coast, you have Russian and Chinese ships all over the place. We need Greenland for national.
That was January 4th. You just heard the prime minister. No, they don't want to be taken over.
To a lot. Threats, pressure, and condescending remarks, even from our closest allies for a generation, about wanting to take over another country and another people as if it was something you could buy and own that has no place anywhere. We shoulder our responsibility in the world, and it is not us who will seek out conflict. But let there be no doubt, no matter what happens, we will stand firm on what is right and what is wrong. Listen to a lot.
It's going to get bad, you guys. It's really, really going to be bad. And yes, I know that Trump and Maduro made a bill, and Maduro's going to tell people how Democrats stole the 2020 election. And guess what? We already knew that. Nobody's getting arrested. And if they do, I'll apologize. Until then, And now Elon has expanded Starlink coverage to Venezuela for free. Do you guys understand what Starlink is? It's DARPA, right? It's CIA. It's DHS. It's Signet. It's DIA. It's beaming EMF directly onto you and everyone you know. If there is nowhere off grid, then there is nowhere to hide.
Elon's company. So I always like to start with like the nuclear AI powered plants, because it's no secret that big tech is now completely inundated with AI in every single step. Just doing some research last year, I noticed that companies like Microsoft is making deals for like nuclear facilities. Google is also moving into nuclear energy. Amazon, Meta. All of these different companies. I believe Elon has expressed interest in nuclear powered data facilities as well. And I see these as sort of the way for them to power all of these, nationwide data centers. We have over 500 data centers in just the state of Virginia alone. And then you also have, 200 to 300 in California, you have 200 to 300 in Texas, and all of these. And then obviously that extends out as a pattern to the rest of the world. And I think that's sort of where that decentralized centralization comes into play there, where, if you, let's say worst case scenario, this is hypothetically, I don't commend this or anything, but physically destroy one of these data centers. Well, now there's 15, 16 others, in the area that serve as nodes that would sort of be able to pick up that slack and stuff and sort of create this indestructible network of data centers that all interoperate together through things like the cloud. You have Larry Ellison's Oracle, Microsoft as well. This is sort of where this global cloud comes into play here. You have the Google Cloud, you have Amazon Web Services, you have all of these cloud computing things that can sort of funnel all of the data from various locations and integrate it together. It can be, extrapolated through like SQL, JSON, fed into different things, and sort of house all of this data virtually. So even if you destroy like the physical aspects of whatever's storing that, they have backups and so on and so forth. And then there's the global satellite connection. So, Elon launching rockets, all big tech sort of partnering with different satellite companies as well. And they're wanting to, from my understanding, create this space cloud. There's an article that I saw that said the space cloud satellite strategies for AWS, Google, Microsoft, and you see things like Starlink partnering with T-Mobile and offering coverage for them. Elon trying to push Starlink as this thing that can connect you no matter where you are in the world. My personal viewpoint is they're trying to make sure there's nowhere in the world that you can hide. And they want to make sure you're always on, always connected to this system so they can update things like their, carbon credit blockchain ledger and where you're going and geolocation data and stuff.
Your freedoms are gone. And it's technocracy that's doing it. Now, this is extremely concerning to me. If you are excited that we took Maduro, answer me one question. Why did they send him to New York City? New York City, where Epstein was, where all this, New York has the most corrupt federal legal system. Whose idea was it to indict him to New York? A liberal hellhole with a communist mayor who loves Maduro. Why didn't he go to South Florida? Why didn't he go to Gitimo? I don't understand, you guys. Now, Marjorie Taylor Greene has stepped up to the bat again. I have to say, she impresses me a little more every day, even though I still think she's controlled opposition.
In support of a strong border. Why do you disagree, Congresswoman? Well, you know, I served on the Homeland Security Committee for 3 years, and I am overwhelmingly in support of a strong border. I impeached Secretary Mayorkas. Those were my articles of impeachment that passed the House because fentanyl overdoses skyrocketed to 280% in my own district.
But let me make a point. Yeah, they indicted Mayorkas. Guess what he's still getting? A full federal pension. Right now, he's living his best life, you guys. It's all smoke and mirrors. Yes, she indicted him. Yeah. They said all this stuff. Guess what? He's still pulling 100% of his salary.
The majority of American fentanyl overdoses and deaths come from Mexico. Those are the Mexican cartels that are killing Americans. And so my pushback here is if this was really about narco terrorists and about protecting Americans from cartels and drugs being brought into America, the Trump administration would be attacking the Mexican cartels. Now, I am not defending Maduro, and
Nobody
of course, I'm
is.
happy for the people of Venezuela to be liberated, but Americans celebrated the liberation of the Iraqi people after Saddam Hussein. They celebrated the liberation of the Libyan people after Gaddafi, and this is the same Washington playbook that we are so sick and tired of, that doesn't serve the American people, but actually serves the big corporations, the banks, and the oil executives. And so my pushback here is on the Trump administration that campaigned on Make America Great Again, that we thought was putting America first.
Amen.
I want to see domestic policy be the priority that helps Americans afford life after 4 disastrous years of the Biden administration.
Come on, sister.
I want to see domestic policies that prioritizes jobs and affordable housing for Americans after 4 disastrous years of the Biden administration. And I want to see domestic priorities that put Americans first in regards of health care. Health insurance costs too much, car insurance, home insurance. And these are issues that matter to Americans. We don't consider Venezuela our neighborhood. Our neighborhood is right here in the 50 United States, not in the Southern Hemisphere.
Now, you know how many people hate her for this? And I used to not really like Marjorie Taylor Greene. And some of you were like, well, I like her. She's pretty good. I understand now why you like her. She's got spine. She's got spine. Yep. Trump just said Cuba's going next.
Cuba looks like it's ready to fall. I don't know if they're going to hold out. But Cuba now has no income. They got all of their income from Venezuela, from the Venezuelan oil. They're not getting any of it. And Cuba.
So you see, this all is like a domino effect. He knocks out the president of Venezuela. It leaves China open to sue us for the debt they owe China. And now you got Cuba. But here's the thing. What about, do you remember when President Trump got in? He's like, I'm going to take out the Venezuelan gangs. Trinidad Tiagua. We're going to send you all home. ICE is coming. ICE is coming. Really? Because guess what? They aren't going to do it. They're going to give them refugee status. They're going to give them all refugee status. Here's Tulsi Gabbard. When Tulsi Gabbard and Marjorie Taylor Greene are saying, stop America, wake up, you probably should listen.
Our leadership, we look throughout history, every time the United States goes into another country and topples a dictator or topples a government, the outcome has been disastrous for the people in these countries. That's why we should use our leadership in the world to try to broker a diplomatic solution, working with countries like Russia that have great influence over Venezuela so that there is a peaceful outcome. Because I can tell you as a soldier, Martha, I've seen firsthand the high cost of war, and pushing for this civil war, pushing for the use of military force will only end up with more suffering and death and disaster for the Venezuelan people. We look throughout history, every time the
Now, the people who have spent a year rounding up non-citizens and sending them to war-torn countries because it's not our job to take care of them, suddenly care about the future of Venezuelans?
Move forward until the conditions that are
this morning, President Trump was pretty clear yesterday. He said the United States is going to run Venezuela. Under what legal authority?
Well, first of all, what's going to happen here is that we have a quarantine on their oil. That means their economy will not be able to move forward until the conditions that are in the national interest of the United States and the interest of the Venezuelan people are met. And that's what we intend to do. So that leverage remains, that leverage is ongoing, and we expect that it's going to lead to results here. We're hopeful that it does, positive results for the people of Venezuela, but ultimately, most importantly for us, in the national interest of the United States. We will no longer have, hopefully, as we move forward here, we'll set the conditions so that we no longer have in our hemisphere a Venezuela that's the crossroads for many of our adversaries around the world, including Iran and Hezbollah, is no longer sending us drug gangs, is no longer sending us drug boats, is no longer a narco trafficking paradise for all those drugs coming out of Colombia to go in through the Caribbean and to
You already heard Marjorie Taylor Greene tell you the drugs are coming through Mexico. There it is. The Trump administration is opening up refugee status to Venezuelan illegals and immigrants as a result of the Maduro regime change. They're not deporting these people. You wanted to know why January 1st, your government passed a spending bill of $6 billion for refugee to bring, because they knew this was coming. They needed money to bring the new refugees. Aren't you sick of it? You're being replaced. They're all in it together, every one of them. They're in the occult, you guys.
Status and that evaluate. Every individual that was under TPS has the opportunity to apply for refugee status, and that evaluation will go forward. But we need to make sure that our programs actually mean something and that we're following the law. And that's how that decision with TPS was made.
So every individual that is here in America from Venezuela can now run to the federal government and say, hey, okay, so, I need to be refugee status. And there's where your federal tax dollars, they will house them, give them medical care, give them food, give them money, give them free daycare. Don't talk to me about fraud. Don't do it.
And these are issues that matter to I want to see domestic policies that prioritizes jobs and affordable housing for Americans after 4 disastrous years of the Biden administration.
Guys, I'm telling you right now, this is not what y'all think it is. However, let's get here because this is where I'm going to end. So the Masonic obelisk is celebrating the illumination of America. So this is what they're telling you. The illumination of America, Freedom 250. Now I'm going to give President Trump this. In 2016, Joe Biden and Obama started a commission to celebrate America's 250th year as a country. Now, don't forget, we have great resets on the 250 mark, but let's keep going. They funneled and stole the money. Donald Trump has no control over the National Mall where these monuments are located. So he had to start in 2025, he had to start a complete different commission and find fundraisers to pay for the celebration of America because the bipartisan commission stole all the money, all the millions and millions Congress approved. But this is one thing they are doing, that commission, not Donald Trump. The illumination of America. Really? Well, we know where that wording comes from, right? Let me show you what they're doing.
As an idea invented in the minds of men, but as a land discovered. America. The New World.
The New World. I'm going to put this on my X account so you guys can go watch it. It's very telling. All right. They're telling you. Now, when you look right at the occult architecture, the Masonic pyramid is located at the National Mall and has a perimeter of 4.26 miles, which is 6.66 kilometers, and extends from the Washington Monument to the Capitol building. It consists of 13 layers and is topped by a stone with an all-seeing eye clutched by an owl. This is how DC is laid out. Look at this, but this is what it really is. And then it's this with this symbol inside of it. It's all occult, friends. It's all Masonic. And don't forget that there was a Bring Faith Back at the nation's capital. This was in September. This was September, like right before Charlie Kirk. And look who's here, Sean Fetch. Or I used to call him Fauché. Remember, everybody laughed at me. Now, this is what I want you all to remember.
Or understand is that the Antichrist is going to be the one that comes in and rescues everybody from the current corrupt system. He is going to be the one that saves everybody from all of these corrupt elites. There is a reason why they are allowing all of this corruption to get exposed or seen. They want everybody so mentally, emotionally, physically, financially fatigued. And they are probably going to push this world into war, or, just allow a lot more crap to happen. They want a state of chaos because they want the world begging for a savior to rescue them from it. And cue the Antichrist, who comes in and exposes this current system. He's going to come in and expose all of these people. And for a lot of people out there who are desiring this justice, they want everything to get exposed. They're going to be so excited. But that is going to be the great deception, because he's going to come in and usher in world peace. He's going to come in and, expose the system, save the world from it, and usher the world into, world peace or some prosperity age or some true golden age.
I told you. No, I don't know who that's going to be. So this is what the Mormon church believes. Hold on. I'm going to read you something. It says Jerusalem right there. Mormonism is not ancient. It does not come from Rome, Jerusalem, or Constantinople. It was born in America in the 1800s during a time when prophecy, expansion, secret societies, and sacred knowledge overlapped. It was born in America in the 1800s. And unlike older Christian movements, Mormonism does not merely interpret the Bible. It adds to it. To understand Mormon influence today inside politics, federal institutions, intelligence agencies, and culture, you must understand one word: Deseret. Deseret means honeybee. This is not a metaphor, it's a structure. In Mormon theology, the beehive represents collective labor over individuality, obedience as a virtue, hierarchy as divine order, unity enforced through covenant. A beehive does not question the design. Every role is assigned. Every sacrifice is expected. The mirrors not only biblical communal living, but ancient systems. Deseret was not envisioned as a democracy. It was envisioned as a restored kingdom. So when the Mormons were created, they were told that they came from one of the lost tribes of Israel. In 1844, Joseph Smith declared his candidacy for the United States presidency. This is the very first time in history that someone was assassinated before they came to president, while they were actually running for it. He was not merely a preacher, he was the prophet of the Mormon church. Smith taught that authority had lost after the apostles, that God restored it exclusively through him, and America was chosen for the restoration. He was arrested, held in custody, and assassinated by a mob. He remains the only declared presidential candidate killed before the election. For the movement, the lesson was permanent. Visibility invites destruction. Power must be quiet. Enter in Mitt Romney, George Romney, Ezra Taft Benson. Mormon power did not retreat, it institutionalized, and it carried something else: ritual memory. Joseph Smith was a master mason in 1842. Weeks later, he introduced the LDS Temple Endowment Ceremony to his followers. The similarities are unnerving: secret handshakes, signs and tokens, magical underwear, oaths and covenants, progressive revelation through ritual, penalty language. These were not casual parallels, they were structural. Historically documented LDS temple rites include those things I mentioned. The church today acknowledges the shared symbolic language while maintaining theirs is from divine origin. Now, I want to tell you something. I'm looking for it. Hold on, guys. Mormonism does not rest on the Bible. It has 3 books of canon. It has the Book of Mormon, the Doctrine and Covenant, and the Pearl of Great Price. Joseph Smith claimed that he uncovered gold plates that were of Egyptian, and that he was the only one that could interpret these gold plates. Now, the Mormons believe those gold plates were taken back by angels. The Book of Mormons teaches that Mormons are ancient Israelites migrated to the Americas and that they bred with the ancestors of Native Americans. Mormonism is supposed to be the restored Israel. America is supposed to be the promised land. This is where you're seeing all these videos claiming that America is actually where Jesus walked. That's all coming from Mormons. It is a replacement theology, but Americanized. Now, light governs Mormonism cosmology. Temples face east. Authority flows from light. Knowledge increases through obedience. In ancient systems from Egypt to Babylonian, Ra, the sun god, represented order, authority, divine kingship. Mormonism doesn't worship Ra, but it inherits the same symbolic grammar. Light equals power. Symbols survive because they work. Now, the Mormon church has tens of billions of dollars in assets. They own land, agriculture, and media. This is not charity, it's durability. The Central Intelligence Agency, known as the CIA, loves Mormons because of their language training, global experience, obedience to hierarchy, clean records. These are not conspiracies, these are qualifications. Deseret was never granted statehood, but it achieved something that has endured through time: a system, a culture, a disciplined hive mind that understands power does not need to announce itself. In the end, Deseret didn't disappear. It learned how to wait. Friends and family of the internet, Charlie Kirk was killed in Utah because Deseret owns Utah. It owns every politician. It owns every single judge and every single police officer. We'll never get the truth out of Utah, which is why they chose Utah. And Arizona is connected in a way that's going to make your hair stand. I know that this is a lot. I know that it is. But just remember, when they finally say peace, peace, peace and prosperity, don't worry. That's when we know it's here. All I can tell you, don't put your trust in man. Learn history. Be willing to hear both sides of the story. It's not so scary when you realize that they've done this over and over and over and over. And there's a point. Eventually, it's all going to end. I love you guys so very much. To the ones of you that have supported me all these years, thank you. Thank you so much. I could not and I would not do this without you. And it's a lot for me. If you think that I enjoy realizing that what I voted for isn't what's happening, no. But I'm an adult and I can look at things for what they are at face value and say, this is not a good idea. So, this is what I'm telling you is going to happen in 2026. We're going to invade Cuba. America is going to invade Iran again. We're going to make a move on Greenland. We're making enemies everywhere. Every Venezuelan, every Cuban, and all these Muslims in this country that are trying to destroy it from the inside out are never going to be removed, including the Somalians Obama brought in and gave U.S. identity to. No one's going to get arrested. None of it's going to stick. Because even if they arrest them, the next incoming president just pardons them and the restitution they owe you and I. Until we tear it completely down, and that starts at the CIA, nothing's going to change. Put your trust in Jesus, not in politicians, because guess what? They say one thing today and they do something tomorrow. All it takes is a little money in their hand and they sing a different tune, friends. I love you. Thank you for your time. It is precious. I know it is. Like, comment, subscribe, hype it if you can. And if you'd like to support my husband's ongoing medical, it's at the top. Add your email and we'll get you the monthly newsletter. Love you guys so much. Be blessed. Be safe. Trust Jesus.